Good afternoon all. My desk is bathed in sunlight. And my little solar powered windmill is going 10 to the dozen. And it's looking pretty nice outside. Oh yeah, beautiful blue sky. It's got to be an outdoors project. It really has to be a solar power project. Now I've got my new solar connectors. It's got to be a battery related project. In fact, I think it's got to be the MuPPeT. So this is MuPPeT, the MPPT solar charge controller. Maybe it needs a label. And maybe I need to close the blinds. So, MuPPT. Yeah, that looks good. Now I just need to check this battery. This is the battery that produces the MOSFET gate voltage. See whether there's any juice still in here. Oh yeah, that's pretty good. And this thing hasn't seen the light of day for, well, I don't know, ages. So the fact that that's still charged must mean that these opto-isolators have a very low leakage current. Now I moved the battery box underneath this frame here, but I'm not sure that's quite such a good idea because I need my solar input on the left side here, which is black and yellow connections, and so I think I'll move that box back out just to the right. Now I found a suitable black and yellow wire to connect the solar panel down leads into the solar side of the MuPPeT. I can't find my red and black wires. Actually, I think the black wire might have been that long one, but I can't find the red wire which had a fuse in it, which I need to put between the battery side of the MuPPeT and the battery itself, of course. But there is actually a more pressing problem, and that is that I'm being baked alive by this wonderful sunshine, so I need to set up some shade. So I need to go inside and make those two cables, but it's just occurred to me, or I've just noticed, that there's no Arduino in here. Yes, there's no Arduino Nano sat in that little Nano adapter board, so even if I power this thing up, well, nothing's going to come up on the display, so let's go and find a Nano. This one looks okay. CH340 USB to serial chip. Let's program it up. Well, that's quite interesting. Part of the premise of this video was going to be that MuPPeT wouldn't work, but it does, and I'm actually quite surprised at that. Hopefully you can see that the display is on and there are numbers whizzing about on it, and if I turn this pot up, the bar graph comes up, the wattage comes up. Unfortunately the battery voltage is shooting up 15 volts, so I need to go and get a load to put on the battery. Now I've up to now used a mains light bulb and an inverter, so I'll go and get all that stuff. Right, so I've got my 100 watt incandescent light bulb there and the 300 watt inverter hooked up to the battery, so that'll keep the voltage of the battery down. So now I can turn the wattage setting of this thing right up. How close can I get to this? Pretty close. So here's how MPPT works with the pulse width modulation at 100%. Now that means the MOSFET is on all the time. I'm getting 35 watts from that panel. It's pretty much off axis because it's still up on my wooden frame, so I'm not going to get the full 80 watts. But if I ease down the PWM to less than 100%, around about 75%, I'm getting more power. I'm getting 40 watts coming out of the panel now. Now you probably haven't seen this 5-turn inductor before, because I wound this after last season and didn't do any filming since. It kind of half works, but I always got the impression there were too few turns on here. Also, it's making a funny noise. It's on 100% at the moment. If I turn it down and then back up, I'm turning it up and down, but I'm trying to get the microphone close to the inductor. It's making these funny clicking noises. Also, I've got a feeling it's probably squealing at about 15 kilohertz. I can't hear it, of course. People with good hearing probably can hear that. But it's definitely MuPPETing, because on 100% it's 35 watts. Wind that down and I can get about 42 watts out of it. So it's working, and I didn't think it would work. The reason I didn't think it would work was because I didn't think the code, the Arduino code, was actually going to compile because of the PWM frequency library. Well, I'm a bit confused now, because this program relies on this, the Arduino PWM frequency library V05, but this folder I've put in a directory above it called invalid libraries, because it was causing problems with the IDE. The IDE was saying this is not a valid library structure format or something along those lines. In there is PWM utility, and in there we've got these A timer defs and B timer defs to set the PWM timers to get the frequency that you want. Now this is all very strange, because if I go up a level and into my valid libraries, which is libraries here, there's something which I don't recognize called PWM, and that's also got a PWM.h, and in the utility it's got the A timer defs and the B timer defs. So where has this come from? Did this get installed automatically? I don't know. Because if I go to Sketch, include library, manage libraries, it comes up with this window. This is the library manager. And if I put in here PWM, yes, that's all the PWM stuff. I think the library I'm using is this, PWM version unknown installed. So I wouldn't have thought that the library manager could manage this automatically, because it doesn't know what it is. Very confused. And here in the code, this very old code, which actually is rather frankly embarrassing now, there's the include for PWM.h, and there is the setting of the frequency to 15 kilohertz. Now, incidentally, if 15 kilohertz is proving to be very annoying, I'm quite happy to raise that a bit, maybe 17 or 18 kilohertz, so that most people can't hear it. Let me know if it's a bother. Now, I've just discovered another issue with this. In the auto mode, when the dial's on 0, it's creeping up and maximizing power. Then there's a click from the inductor, that click that we heard just now, and that seems to glitch something, and the unit drops immediately back to not being maximum power. So there's another issue to resolve. I love issues. I'm going to have to resolve that one next. Whoopee! So lots to do on this. It's on automatic at the moment. This glitch reboot is bothering me a little bit. It creeps up and then just glitches and reboots. And if it is to do with that inductor, then maybe I could try the big inductor that I wound. I've got two of these ferrites, so I wound this inductor. This was the original inductor. It was much smaller, but this one seemed to work fine, but it did feel to me like it had too many turns. But I think this one has too few. So maybe I'll just switch that over now, because it's fairly easy to do. I just undo these terminal posts. I don't know why I'm zoomed in so much. It's causing me problems. I'll undo these terminal posts, just switch these inductors round and see if this glitchy reboot thing continues. So that's it switched off. So I should better undo this now and just pull that out. Taking care not to burn my arm on this 100-watt light bulb, which is still on. So let's lift that one out. That's mildly warm. And put this one back in. Maybe it goes that way. Yeah, that looks about right. Tighten these down. Okay, let's power this up. Yep, that seems to have booted fine. Put on the solar and see if it's still glitching. Yeah, I'm just wondering if the reason I didn't like the big inductor was that the tracking algorithm just seemed to be having a lot more trouble getting off the ground and going up to maximum power. Now, is that maximum power? It might be, because the sun's gone in a bit now. It is starting to cloud over a bit. 30 watts. Let's just try it. 100% PWM is 24. Yeah, and the max is about 30. So that had definitely found the maximum power point. But it just seems to take an age for the tracking algorithm to get started. Now, there are solutions to that. I'm starting it at 0 PWM. I can always start at 50%, for example. I think one of the problems is that starting at 0, there's so much noise from the two sensors, the current sensors, that the algorithm I'm using, and it's not quite a hill climbing algorithm, it's more of a not falling off a cliff algorithm. I'll have to explain that in a future video. It just is wandering about all over the place because it can't pick signal out of noise. There's far too much noise, and so it just doesn't get going. You can see that it's just sitting there on 1.1 watts and it just can't lift up out. The inductor with the smaller number of turns seemed to be better at that. Let's put that back in. Right, the 5-turn inductor's back in. It's on manual at the moment, so I'll put it to auto, which is 0. And see how quickly that lifts itself out of the noisy floor. That's struggling as well now. I thought that might be better able to start tracking and get up to maximum power. There's a bit more sun now, but no, that's struggling, isn't it? Really, the code needs changing to not start at 0. Starting at 0 is just a bad idea. Come on, you can do it. Oh, maybe you can't do it. And in any case, the glitching from this inductor was causing it to, well, I don't know, reboot maybe. There it goes. 12 watts. 18, 25. And there it is. Reboot. Problem. Oh, it's going up again. Let's watch it go up again. 30 watts. 31. 32 even. Reboot. Interesting. So I haven't played with this thing for so long that I've almost forgotten how it works. And there is a huge amount of work still to do on it, particularly in relation to optimizing that inductor and optimizing the code. It's interesting, and weather permitting, it's an enjoyable project. But it is clouding over a little bit now, all getting a bit hazy, and there's some quite dark clouds over there. So I need to pack away and put the PWM controller back on, but I've just noticed that this thing is, if I can get the camera to focus, is full of water. So there seems to be a bit of an epidemic of these things having their seals breached and the water getting in, which is all very alarming really. But yeah, that's a bit of a worry putting that one back, because that's clearly going to have problems with that much water in it. So, I'm a bit fed up now actually. So many technical problems. I think I'm just going to sit in what remains of today's sunshine and have an ice cream. Yum yum. Very nice. Cheerio.